The smartest way for women to lose fat, and if you're a woman who has tried everything and your body still won't budge, I want you to hear this carefully. You haven't failed. You've been failed, and that happened twice. The first time was when the entire diet industry was built on research that didn't include you. More than half of the research that the modern diet world was built on treated you and a 200-pound man as the same person. The Stanford Diet Fit study, they reanalyzed this by sex in 2020, and it showed that men lost significantly more weight on a low-carb diet than women. Same calories, same protocol, not because women have less willpower, but because their biology was being asked to play a game that was designed for somebody else. That's the first failure. Here's the second one. Once the wellness industry caught on, they then decided to overcorrect. Suddenly, every fitness app and every Instagram coach was telling you to train around your menstrual cycle. Case in point, when I was reading the research, I was like, this kind of makes sense. But I always said, this is intra-woman dependent. It's different for every woman. But the industry, pushed by the Cycle app, by the Seed Cycling Kit, and here, a review published in Strength and Conditioning Journal in December 2025 looked at the entire body of evidence on cycle-based training. The conclusion: programming your workouts around your menstrual cycle does not produce better results than just training consistently. So you've been failed twice. Once by the industry that ignored you, and then by an industry that pretended to fix it. The smartest way for women to lose fat isn't more complexity. It's a small set of principles that are actually designed for female biology. I'm gonna give you the 3 principle protocol that I've used with hundreds of ladies that I've coached, from women in their 30s to women in their 60s post-menopause. And my client Sandra is living proof. She came to us having tried low carb, she tried keto, she tried the counting calories, Weight Watchers, all of it. And she was already going to the gym. She was already very disciplined and nothing was moving. She went with us from 43% body fat to 16%, losing 50 pounds in the process. She did it with a protocol that I am about to show you. Principle number 1. This is unsexy, but this works. Train heavy, rest long. This is the first principle. Now here is the biggest mistake that I see women making. They train like men, but with lighter weights and shorter rest periods. They walk into the gym, they'll do 10 to 15 reps with a weight that they could lift 25 times. Then they take a 30-second rest and then they move on. You're feeling sweaty, it's working, right? And then they leave like, hey, I got in a good workout. But in reality, that's just cardio with extra steps. It's not building the thing that actually fixes female fat loss. So here's what the research actually shows. The single most important thing for women over 35 trying to lose fat is to rebuild her lean muscle, not just to maintain it, but to rebuild it. Let me explain. From age 30, women lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade. And after menopause, the rate of that accelerates further. And every pound of muscle you lose burns roughly 6 fewer calories at rest. Now, that might sound inconsequential, but what about when you're up 2 to 3 pounds every year, consistently year over year? That's a real metabolic theft happening in a woman's body. Not slowing metabolism, but actual disappearing muscle. And the fix isn't cardio. The fix isn't a cycle app. Ladies, it's heavy resistance training 3 times a week with rest periods long enough to actually challenge muscle. So here's the protocol. Our ladies at Sculpt by Science do on average between 3 to 4 sessions per week, never on consecutive days, because recovery is when your muscle is actually being built. It's not in the gym. In the gym, you break it down. At home, when you're asleep, it's when you build it back stronger. For example, I want you to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or you can go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Now, you can just pick any of those 2 patterns and stick to it. Each session, I want you to do 4 compounding movements. So write this down. I want you to do a leg press. I want you to do a hip thrust. I want you to do a seated cable row. And I want you to do a chest press machine. These are the 4 most effective muscle building exercises for women over 35. And crucially, they're also safe. And I am deliberately not recommending barbell squats or barbell deadlifts. Yes, they build muscle, but they do put load on your spine and on your lower back in a way that at 35 isn't worth the injury risk. And this is why I say there's so many coaches out there who don't even consider this because they don't understand. Now, one bad rep with that barbell deadlift takes you out for 6 months. The machines are supported, they have variation, and they build the same muscle without the same risk. Same gain, less risk, smarter choice. Now, I want you to do a rep range between 8 to 12 reps per set, 3 sets per exercise. And here's the part that most women are getting wrong. 2 to 3 minutes of rest between sets. I don't want 30 seconds, 2 to 3 minutes. So you'd be asking why? Why so long? The goal isn't to gas yourself. The goal is to lift heavy weight that genuinely challenges your muscle. And to do that, your muscles need to recover between sets. Short rest periods force you to use lighter weights, and lighter weights don't build real muscle. Now, no new muscle essentially means no new metabolic rebuild. No metabolic rebuild means no fat being moved. This is the single biggest difference between a workout that actually challenges a woman's body and one that makes her tired. And Sandra used this exact structure. And so did Trish, who lost 24 pounds in 16 weeks doing exactly this. And even my own mom, who reversed 5 out of the 5 markers of metabolic syndrome at 60 years young. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, okay, Dr. Mike, this is great, but can you just give me the actual workout that I should do? I've put together a free 3 to 4 day training workout built around exactly this structure, the sets, the reps, and the rest periods, the exercise swaps if you don't have a gym, and you can download it for free. It is the link in the description below this video. And all I ask in return is just to hit the video with a gentle thumbs up as a thank you. What that will also do is that it will share the video with more ladies who need this advice. Now, for the women who work, and I know you're thinking also, hey, Dr. Mike, this sounds great, but I leave the house at 5 a.m. I'm on calls the entire day. I don't have a personal chef, and I barely have 30 minutes to myself in my household. How do I fit all of this in? And this is the most common question I get. And the reason most generic fat loss advice fails women is that it's built for someone with all day to optimize. It's not built for someone who's a CEO. It's not built for a doctor, not for a mother of 3 running on 6 hours of sleep, which is exactly why I'm going to be hosting a free live training. I will walk you through how to run this exactly when you have a real life. So this is a quick announcement just before I jump into principle number 2. Ladies, write this down on your calendar. On Wednesday, June 3rd, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be hosting a free live training built specifically for women who've tried everything and still can't shift the weight. Whatever stage you're in your 30s, in your 40s, perimenopause, full-on menopause, post-menopause, protocol is the exact same because the biology is the same. Now, in this live training that I'm going to do, my medical team and I are going to walk you through the exact 5-step system that we use with our clients, including women in their 60s, including women with hypothyroidism, including women who came to us after they spent thousands of dollars on programs that left them heavier than when they started. Plus, I'm going to block a full hour for a live Q&A. So ladies, bring your questions and I'm gonna answer them right in front of you. But there is a catch. Because this is a live Q&A, I'm strictly limiting the attendance to 500 spots for women. And the channel has over 2 million subscribers on YouTube, so I do imagine they will go fast. To grab yours, it's the first link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen right now to register. It's on Wednesday, it's June 3rd, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's free and I'll see you there. Back to the protocol. The second principle, protein first every meal. And here's the second thing that women get wrong. Not the food, but the order. Now, most women eat carbs first. The bread that arrives at your table first, you have a slice or two, and then your lunch shows up and you start with the rice. The food on the plate isn't the problem. The sequencing of how you eat that food is. When carbohydrates hit your bloodstream first, you get an insulin spike. And insulin is the hormone that decides whether the food you just ate becomes fuel or fat. And a big insulin spike on an empty stomach tells your body to store. A small control rise tells your body to use it. So here's the fix. And this is embarrassingly simple and smart. Eat the protein first, then fiber, then the carbs. I call this the PFC system. And you'll also get a different hormonal response as a result. And the research on this is bulletproof. Now, there's a 2026 review on clinical nutrition, and it confirmed that eating vegetables and protein before carbohydrates consistently produced flatter blood sugar curves, which means lower insulin spikes, and a significantly better hormonal response from the exact same food, just by changing the order that you put it in your mouth. Now, for women specifically, this matters so much more compared to men, because after 35, your insulin sensitivity starts dropping. After 40, it drops even faster. Post-menopause, it falls off a cliff. Then your body's increasingly bad at handling glucose efficiently. This is why it feels like you look at food and you gain weight. And this also means when you eat more of the same calories, you end up storing more of it as fat. Now, eating protein first is the single most effective non-pharmaceutical way to manage that. So here's how to actually do it. Build every meal that you eat around a protein source. For women, chicken, wild-caught salmon, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, lean beef, lentils. And I want you to aim for 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. That's a palm-sized piece of fish or chicken, 3 eggs, and a side of cottage cheese, which actually just reminds me, I have a video that I'm making that are 10 foods all menopausal women should be eating. If you guys want me to put this video out next, like all the foods are right here in front of me, leave the video with a thumbs up and comment below, Dr. Mike, put out the 10 foods menopausal women should be eating, and I'll make the video next. You can also just have vegetables and carbs. Sweet potatoes, for example, quinoa, as you guys say. Oats is also another one. Berries, a fantastic one. Eat them, but eat them in the right order. Now, the question is, okay, Dr. Mike, how much protein should I be eating? This is the real number, and a question I get more than any other. How much protein should I eat per day? Now, the official government guidelines, the RDA, is 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Now, that number was set in 1970 based on research that was mostly conducted on men. And it represents the absolute minimum to prevent deficiency, not optimal, the minimum. And it's the protein equivalent of asking how few hours of sleep you can survive on instead of how many hours of sleep can I thrive on. Now, for women who are actively training and trying to change their body composition to get toned, your real target is so much higher. This is my clinical recommendation after a decade of working with women. I actually recommend 1 gram of protein and as high as 1.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And this is if you're healthy. And when I say healthy, I mean you don't have any kidney issues, liver issues. And I'll use an example. Let's say you weigh 150 pounds. I want you to eat between 150 to 195 grams of protein. And research actually backs this. There's a Schoenfield and colleagues research paper that was released in 2018, and it found that women consuming slightly over 1 gram per pound of body weight gained muscle while losing a kilogram of fat in the same window. The lower protein group still lost the fat, but many of them lost muscle along with it. The high protein group kept everything they worked so hard to build. And that's exactly what 1 gram or more per pound buys you. Not just fat loss with getting even more toned. And there's also one more important caveat. The recommendation is for healthy women. If you have any kind of kidney or liver condition, please speak to your doctor. I'm not your doctor. Speak to yours. Higher protein intake puts more demand on those systems, and the protocol needs to be adjusted accordingly. So for everyone else, you're safe to push your number up. And these two principles working together, heavy training without enough protein doesn't build muscle. You need both. And Sandra increased her protein dramatically. She didn't have this complicated meal. She built every meal around her protein source, and that alone, combined with the training, dropped her from 43% body fat to 16% body fat. Now let's go to principle 3. Walk more, sleep more, stress less. This is the principle that sounds the most obvious, and it's so underutilized because it's the boring one. And nobody wants to sell you this. The one that doesn't fit like the Instagram algorithm, and it's not hitting your feed because it doesn't sound sexy. But here's what you need to understand. For women over 35, the difference between a body that loses fat and a body that holds onto it isn't the gym. It isn't even the kitchen. It is your cortisol levels. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and in a female body, especially at 35, your chronically elevated cortisol is the single biggest reason why fat decides to park itself around your belly, and it will refuse to leave. In your 30s, essentially your estrogen acted as a buffer against cortisol. It softened that impact. But as your estrogen started to decline, that buffer disappeared. And the same stress level that rolled you out at 28 now drives fat directly to your belly at 45. So 3 things to do that's simple and free, and nobody is mentioning them, which is 1, walk. I want you to get a minimum of 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day, not all at once, spread out. And remember, I told you I have evidence of almost 11 years, going on to 12 years of coaching ladies. When my ladies get to 15,000, that's the golden number, 15,000 steps. But start at 8 to 10 and spread it out. This is how to hit your 10K. After every meal, walk for 10 minutes. Get a walking pad under your desk, or get a walking pad in your living room. Walk after your meal. And there's even a randomized control trial on postmenopausal women with obesity, and it found that moderate intensity walking in that step range significantly reduced their BMI and their inflammatory markers, specifically interleukin 6, IL-6, and CRP, C-reactive protein. And walking is the only form of movement that actively lowers cortisol instead of raising it. High intensity workouts spike cortisol. Long cardio spikes cortisol. Walking calms it. Calma. 2, sleep. 7 to 8 hours. Non-negotiable. Cortisol is cleared from your body while you're sleeping. If you only give your body 5 to 6 hours, it can't finish its job. Cortisol builds up overnight, and the next day, it's elevated before you've even had your coffee. And elevated cortisol means belly fat storage, no matter how well you eat or how hard you train. So the 2 non-negotiables for sleep: no screens 1 hour before bed and no caffeine after midday. Both are clinically shown to improve deep sleep measurably. Deep sleep is where your growth hormone is released. That helps you burn fat. And no deep sleep, no growth hormone, no fat burn, no cortisol release. It's that direct. And number 3, breathe. So I know how that sounds, but stay with me. I want you to do slow controlled breathing, specifically breathing out for longer than you breathe in. And this essentially activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your body's rest and digest system. And it produces a measurable drop in cortisol within minutes. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 6 seconds out, 4 seconds hold. 4, 4, 6, 4. So I'll show you how to do it. And you'll always notice when I do this, my energy is much more calm on the videos. I get excited because of the stuff I talk about. But do this 10 minutes before bed. It's one of the most effective hormonal interventions, and it costs nothing. So that's all you need to do. Walk, sleep, breathe. The boring stuff is the smartest stuff, because it's the part of this protocol that addresses cortisol, which is the part most other people and plans ignore. That's the female fat loss code. 3 principles: train heavy and rest long when you're training. And that'll help you rebuild muscle mass. Protocol number 2, protein first every meal, the PFC system. And try and eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Make your life simple. Eat the same foods every day. Just make sure you're eating it in different orders. Principle number 3 is walk, sleep, and breathe. Now, the unsexy works, and that brings cortisol down so fat can actually leave. Those are the 3 principles built around the female biology and backed by actual research for women. And here's what I want you to take from this video more than anything else. The reason that it hasn't been working for you, it was never you. The advice was built for somebody else. The wellness industry made it more complicated. They didn't make it better. And the real answer is always smaller, simpler, and more boring than anyone is willing to sell. Sandra didn't lose 50 pounds because she's more disciplined than you. She lost 50 pounds because for her first time, she had a protocol that was designed for her body.